sumo deadlift is one of the most hated topics in lifting history. Being a sumo deadlifter, you're always going to have to be prepared to defend yourself from everyone around you, right? Everyone's going to hate you, everyone's going to make fun of you, and some of it's justified and some of it not so much. And as a sumo puller myself, I feel like I have a responsibility to rank how accurate some of these critiques are. So I'm going to be ranking all sorts of sumo deadlift critiques. S tier means it's a super good critique. D tier, not so much. The first critique is a sumo deadlift is cheating. It's kind of confusing what people even mean when they say this, right? But my best guess is that sumo deadlift gives you like some unfair advantage over conventional. I think that's what people mean when they say it. And I think this is kind of true and kind of not. And now I'll explain. So, if you take a novice deadlifter, like let's say someone deadlifting 300 pounds conventional, and you teach them sumo, most likely they can probably put on like 50 pounds on their deadlift just by switching to sumo. It's kind of like switching from high bar to low bar on squat. Like you're just gonna have some initial jump in pounds on your squat or deadlift. So I can understand, why conventional pullers call sumo cheating, because when you switch over, you can gain like an extra 50 pounds, But at the end of the day, cheating, I think cheating is a stretch, right? Would you consider switching from high bar to low bar cheating? I don't think so. And it's kind of like this idea that using smart form and using smart technique is just kind of like fucking pussy. That's this thing that's always been there in lifting. No one really talks about it, but there is kind of this idea that if you like are use super good technique on like a compound lift, you're kind of a fucking pussy, bro. Like that's just kind of a thing that's there. But I think people are just calling it cheating because they don't want to, because talking about the technique is too complicated, so they just call it cheating. And I get it, because sumo has a bad rep. Like everyone is hating on sumo. No, nobody likes sumo, and so I get why these people don't want to switch to sumo deadlift. So if we're looking at this from a novice perspective, then I do think there is kind of an advantage over conventional. But from an elite perspective, no. So I mean, I would put this in B tier, but I mean, this is the most common critique, man. Just get a better critique at this point, dude. If you go on any TikTok comment section of someone doing a sumo deadlift, the first comment is just gonna be, dude, you're cheating, bro. Quit cheating. And it's like, come on, man. We've heard it before. Let's get a better critique now. Alright, come on. And the next critique, sumo deadlift is gay. I mean, this is by far, I don't think I need an explanation, by far the best critique of sumo ever. I mean, I am a sumo puller, right? Every single time I'm going heavy, I'm at my commercial gym, I'm feeling good. Every single time I have something heavy on the bar, all I'm thinking about is, man, dude, this would be so much more badass if I could just rip and roar this shit conventional off the ground. Because at the end of the day, there is just a little bit something gay about sumo, and there's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm willing to admit it and accept it. I wish I had the genetics to be as strong conventional as I am sumo, but I unfortunately don't. You know, Congrats to the people who do. You got real lucky. But yeah, I mean, this is by far the best critique. If someone calls you gay for doing sumo, you can't be like, actually, I'm just using my leverage. No, dude, come on. Yeah, I mean, just accept him and just be like, yeah, you might be a little bit right with that one. Next one is range of motion. Sumo that has a lower range of motion than conventional. Um, this one, you have to look at this one from two different ways, from a stiff bar angle and a deadlift bar angle. And, the average TikTok commenter, they probably don't even know the difference between, they probably don't even know what a deadlift bar is, right? So, a stiff bar, as it sounds, it's stiff. When you pull, all of the weight is coming off the floor at one time. A deadlift bar has a few differences. One, it's way wider, so you can spread your legs even more and reduce the range of motion way more than you could in the stiff bar. And two, it's bendy. And the reason that this is such an advantage is because you can pull slack and the bar will move up before all of the weight leaves the ground. So it's kind of like doing a block pull, because your starting point is a few inches above where it would be on a stiff bar. So it's kind of a block pull in that sense. And when you add in, straps, and you put heavy bumper plates on the outside, which creates more torque, which bends the bar even more. I mean, at that point, you're just reducing the range of motion to a point where, like, it's not even a deadlift at this point, it's a knee extension, right? So, if we're talking about this from a stiff bar perspective, I'd probably put it in D tier because no one switches to sumo to shave off those extra few inches, you do it because it's better for your leverages, right? But if we're talking about a deadlift bar, that's where you get iffy. If I was doing this from a deadlift bar standpoint, I'd probably put this all the way up in S tier, dude, because some of these guys, it's actually just a knee extension. You can literally just extend lock out your knees, and you're good to go. And the bar is literally below your knees. Like if you've seen the videos of these guys, they don't lock it out. They hyper extend their knees so that now they're like mechanically locked out. It's hard to explain, but if you can see the video, you can kind of see what I mean. It's kind of crazy. So I think I'm gonna compromise and put this in B tier. The next critique, that sumo deadlifting is easy. I think this is pretty similar to the cheating critique, just that sumo deadlifting is easy. I think this is just cope. So you'll see someone deadlifting like 675 sumo, and the first comment is like, dude, that's easy, bro. Try 225 conventional. I think this is pretty much just cope. If sumo was so easy, every single elite lifter would do it, but it's like 50-50 in powerlifting. So, I don't think this is a good critique. It's not creative, There's nothing even to it, right? So, D tier for me. Now, this next critique, this is kind of an obscure one, but I've seen it before and you might have seen it before. It's a physics equation called work equals force times distance, and it's pretty much just saying, if you have like a 500-pound deadlift, the force is the same for conventional and sumo, but for sumo, the distance is less, therefore, the work is going to be less. Force is the same, distance less, the work is going to be less. Hey, therefore, the work on sumo is less, therefore it's easier. We just proved sumo is easier using physics. Nothing can dispute physics. Physics is the grand, the cream of the crop, dude. Dude, this shit pisses me the fuck off when these juniors in high school who like barely scraped by their on-level physics class think that they can apply physics to the real world. That's not how this fucking works, okay? Let me give you a hypothetical that might change the way you think a little bit. Let's take a static hold, right? With 1 million pounds, okay? A static hold with 1 million pounds, okay? That's a lot of force, right? The force, really, really big. But the distance on the static hold, that's just zero, man. You're not moving, it's just a static hold. Therefore, zero multiplied by anything, oh, that means that the work is zero. That means that a 1 million pound static hold, work is zero. It's super easy, bro. Anyone can do that, bro. Just go do it. Work is zero, man. No, because the argument is that it's fucking stupid. The argument that physics work shows or proves how hard a lift is, that doesn't make any sense, right? But I hate to admit this because I saw this and it made me really mad. But there is a better argument to be made over a period of time if you're talking about work. Like for example, let's take two people deadlifting the same weight, same exact program over like a 3-month period, but one person has 3 feet range of motion and the other person has 2.5 feet range of motion. Over time, the person who has 2.5 feet range of motion, they're going to have less work but the same amount of reps done on their deadlift. And this is an advantage because their body has less to recover from, right? So over a period of time, the work equals force times distance argument can kind of have some merit, right? But it doesn't matter at all for one individual lift. So, oh man, I want to put this, I'm gonna put this in B tier, but at the end of the day, I don't even think this is a big critique of sumo. Like, if you could get less work done, but do the same amount of reps, which means you can recover better, but have the exact same amount of reps as someone else, I think that's a good thing, you know. So I'm putting this in C tier because I don't even see how that's a critique, honestly. I just think that's a benefit for sumo. That's a sumo compliment tier list. Final critique, just that sumo deadlift, you might break your toes, you know. I mean, it's happened. It's pretty rare, but you know, there is that always that scare factor that you might, you know, accidentally mess up, and it probably won't happen to you, but there's a good chance it can. Oh man, I mean, I'll put it in A tier just because it can be pretty scary, right? The idea, but if you do things right, you're probably gonna be fine. You know, when I thought of this video idea, I thought there was gonna be a lot more critiques of sumo deadlift because it's like one of the most hated things on the planet. But this is all I could think of. But yeah, I mean, that's my ranking.